Hello, all of you beautiful beings. My name is Larissa and welcome to my YouTube. In today's video, I wanted to discuss why I choose to consume a plant-based diet and live a vegan lifestyle. I noticed I have had a lot of new followers come over onto this platform. So thank you all so much for the support. It feels so amazing to finally have reached over 2,000 subscribers. Thank you all. You are all amazing, and I'm so stoked to have you all here as part of my community that is slowly growing, and I'm so grateful. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. But for a lot of you who are newer to my channel, I wanted to just go back to the basics and talk a bit about why I choose to live a plant-based lifestyle. And yeah, so I just want to share a little bit about my story and how I got started, and basically my deep why, because it's so important in order to stick to a healthy lifestyle or any sort of lifestyle or diet change. You really need to have a strong and passionate why. And so I want to share a bit about mine. So it all started a little over 7 years ago. I was on a standard American diet all my life, just like most of us. Growing up eating processed foods, eating animal products at every meal basically. I didn't really eat many fruits or vegetables. Luckily I didn't really eat a lot of fast food, but I did eat a lot of processed food. Almost every meal was, highly processed. And I grew up suffering with health issues since I was a young kid. Lots of mystery illnesses, sick all the time, just weird issues that the doctors could never figure out. And then when I was about 16 or 17 years old, I was diagnosed with prediabetes, insulin resistance, and I also was told I had really high cholesterol, and my hormones were all out of balance. I had cysts on my ovaries, so PCOS. Yeah, just a ton of issues, and they just put me on medication, like always, saying there's no other solution to these problems. You just have to take this medication for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you're gonna become a diabetic and it's gonna get worse. So yeah, that's basically, how it all started. Just like a lot of us, that come to a healthy lifestyle, we suffer with our health in some ways. And it really ends up being the push and the driver for us to change. So, into my young adult life, my early 20s, I started exploring just, eating a healthier diet. At first I cut out gluten, then I was on the paleo diet for many years, just eating a lot of animal products still, but a lot less processed food. And I was feeling a little bit better just because I was eating more natural foods, but I was never able or even had the awareness that I could actually reverse these health conditions that I was put on medication for. So I was still taking medication, and I just had no clue that the possibilities of actually healing my body. I thought I just had to manage these symptoms for the rest of my life and try my best to live healthy and keep taking medication. I never had heard about people reversing, especially diabetes, or just natural ways to heal and cleanse. I didn't know anything about detoxification and fasting and eating a plant-based diet, all these really amazing healing modalities that not only can reverse illness, but first and foremost should be focused on for prevention of even developing any health issues to begin with. So at one point, I very randomly came across the documentary called What the Health on Netflix. Highly recommend, because that is what truly just shifted my life. Honestly, I watched it and I was so inspired and curious because I was seeing how people were basically reversing, diabetes and cancer and all these different diseases, within a matter of weeks, months, getting off their medication. And it just seemed so simple. And I was a little, confused to begin with, because being on the paleo diet, I was told, that eating a lot of protein and animal products is good, and taking out the grains, because grains cause a lot of inflammation. And I don't disagree with that. But I was curious to explore this plant-based diet. And what also really intrigued me was the fact that they actually talked about what causes insulin resistance, what I was diagnosed with, which is prediabetes. And they finally made me aware that we're being basically brainwashed to focus on sugar being the enemy, and sugar causes diabetes, and sugar causes cancer, and sugar causes all these issues, when in reality, especially with diabetes, it's excess dietary fat that actually causes the problem, because every cell in our body actually runs on carbohydrates and simple sugars. So we need to be able to fuel our body with simple sugars and carbohydrates from whole foods, definitely not processed. Processed sugar is never going to be a healthy food, but sugar from fruits and vegetables, carbohydrates that are, growing from Mother Nature, they're healthy for us and they help us have energy. Every cell in our body runs on carbohydrates. So to be told all these diabetic patients and, so many other things, they say, sugar feeds cancer. So many people are being brainwashed to avoid sugar so intensely that they don't just avoid processed sugar, but they avoid fruit and they avoid things that can, still be pretty beneficial to them, like sweet potatoes and regular potatoes and, just all these wonderful carbohydrate rich foods that grow from nature. But along my journey, I've learned that, of course, fruit is number one. And for me, that's really the main source that I get for my energy, for my fuel, and for my carbohydrates, since I am also not just plant-based, but I am raw vegan. And so that took me on a whole nother journey that I'll go into in another video. But just focusing on the plant-based diet aspect in this video, it really shifted everything when I learned that too much fat in the diet basically inhibits the body's ability to metabolize sugar correctly. So that's why you see this spike in blood sugar and it stays elevated for longer than it should. After you eat any meal, you'll get a spike in blood sugar, and that's normal. And then your body will produce insulin to help assist the sugar that's in your bloodstream into the cells, because the cells run on that sugar and they need to ingest that sugar for energy. But what happens when you eat too much fat, because you're eating meat, dairy, eggs, you're eating processed food that's loaded with processed oils, and just all these things that basically creates an elevated level of fat in the bloodstream. Well, all this fat stays in the bloodstream and it makes it thicker, it makes your blood move more sluggish, it doesn't allow your blood to flow the way it should more easily. And that's why you also see, all these cardiovascular issues being linked to elevated fat in the diet. We all know that excess animal product consumption is linked to heart disease, which is the number one reason that humans die worldwide, is heart disease. And it's a diet related death. If we could save so many lives, we could save so many people from suffering with this knowledge that a plant-based diet is great for health, for longevity, for healing, for prevention, for reversing disease. So it's just so mind-blowing that this is not mainstream knowledge. But of course, there's a lot I can get into, but in the documentary What the Health, they really go deep into why we don't know these things and how industries like Big Pharma really benefit from us not knowing the truth, and that it's kind of somewhat hidden from us on purpose. So anyway, as I was explaining, when you eat a meal that has carbohydrates, that has simple sugars, if you're eating fruits or any sort of carbohydrate source, your blood sugar will be elevated, and that's okay. You just don't want to keep it, you don't want a huge blood sugar spike that, takes a long time to go back down. Otherwise, that means your insulin is not, working efficiently, and there's too much fat in your bloodstream, because all this fat, it mucks up the bloodstream and it basically creates a fatty barrier around the outside of the blood cell. And so when the sugar is trying to get into the cell, it basically can't, because of this fatty layer that is getting in the way. So the sugar's trying to get into the cell, but it's not. So then the body's like, I need to produce more insulin, because insulin is the hormone that helps assist the sugar into the cell. So you know, your body's just going to keep producing insulin until the blood sugar starts to go down. But over time, you know, you can really overwork your pancreas, which is the organ that produces insulin, and over time it'll start to slow down its production of insulin, and you'll just keep experiencing elevated blood sugar levels, and then eventually the pancreas might just give up, and then you have, you know, full-blown diabetes. So does this mean we shouldn't be eating anything with sugar? No, it just means that we need to lower the fat intake in our diet. Cutting out animal products is the #1 best way to do that. Cutting out processed foods is also super important. And a lot of people don't think about this, but oils, any oil is a processed food. I don't care if it's, you know, healthy, organic, you know, cold pressed, extra virgin olive oil. That is not a whole food. You know, once you extract the pure fat from the olive, it now becomes a processed food that is 100% calories from fat, and that is something that is not recognizable to the body as food. There is no food in nature that is 100% calories from fat, even animal products, you know. But yeah, oil will also, you know, have a similar effect that animal products do with this whole process that I'm speaking of. So if you want to basically make sure that you are having an efficient time metabolizing sugar, which is so important, because yeah, elevated blood sugar, you know, frequently can definitely cause a lot of problems. But it doesn't mean you should cut out the sugar. It just means you need to lower your fat intake to allow your body to metabolize it correctly and give your cells all the energy that they need to thrive. And it's interesting because you see a lot of these people that restrict their carbohydrates, whether they're on keto or they're on a diabetic diet that they're following because of their diabetes, which is basically keto. It's interesting to me that almost all of them you'll see are very reliant on caffeine. Almost all of them drink coffee or energy drinks of some sort, or maybe they take a lot of cacao. They basically aren't getting the correct energy source to the human body. We're all the same in the sense that every cell in our body runs on carbohydrates. It doesn't matter if you're a certain blood type or a certain race. Like, all of our physiology is the same and the cells in our body work the same. Of course, things, you know, differ depending on how you eat. Our human bodies are so advanced and so intelligent that they are able to adapt to, you know, eating so many different ways, even these ways that aren't beneficial. Like, they are adapted to survive. So, you know, you can switch into ketosis and run on ketones, but you're basically just putting a huge strain on your body when you're doing that. So it's much better to just give your body the fuel that it needs, which is carbohydrates. And then you don't need things like caffeine for energy, because caffeine isn't even real energy. It actually just produces adrenaline and just makes you run on stress hormones like cortisol. And this just really takes a toll on your adrenal glands and your body as a whole. It's just so depleting to the body, depletes a lot of minerals from the body, and yeah, it just gets your whole system out of whack. So I do not recommend relying on caffeine for energy. It's not real energy. It actually just makes you not aware how tired you are. But yeah, the real energy that your body runs on, and very importantly, your brain, is carbohydrates. So please don't restrict your carbohydrates. You don't need to. It's unhealthy. 80% of your calories should be coming from carbohydrates if you want to have energy, feel amazing, thrive, and have a very high functioning body and brain. So that was basically the information that opened my mind and my eyes to even just wanting to give this lifestyle a try. After watching What the Health, I was like, interesting. I have prediabetes, and these people are reversing their insulin resistance in just a few weeks, just eating plant-based, no oils, no animal products, all whole foods from nature, high carbohydrate, low fat diets. I want to try it. Maybe I'll try it for 2 weeks and see if I also get, you know, good results on my blood work. And literally after 2 days, I felt so amazing that I was like, I'm never going back. And it's funny because it was just an experiment to me in the beginning. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going vegan, like I'm so committed. I was like, let me just try it out, see how I feel after 2 weeks. But like I said, 2 days in, I was like, whoa, I've never felt this good. Like, I'm never going back. And from then, I was just hungry for more knowledge and to figure out how to thrive at my highest level. Finally having the knowledge that I could actually heal my own body through a healthy diet and lifestyle. Like, I never knew that until this point in my life. And at the time, I had just turned, I think, 23 years old. And so I was so excited, I was so inspired, and so ready to just, keep getting healthier and healthier and thriving more and more. And that's really where the passion snowballed. And I've just felt better and better, every year. And as I was like learning more and researching, like, okay, well, what do I eat? Because I was just on this paleo diet that told me not to eat grains like rice and, all these whole grains that are really common on a plant-based diet. So I was confused, okay, like paleo says grains are bad, but on the vegan diet, they eat a lot of them and they say meat is bad. So like, what do I eat? What's the truth? And maybe about 2 weeks into this new plant-based diet that I was trying out, I discovered the raw vegan diet. And in another video, because I don't want this one to get too long, I'll go more in depth into why I follow a raw vegan diet. But I will just say it clicked the instant that I discovered the raw vegan diet. I was like, oh, okay, so I can still accept that grains most likely cause inflammation, because I did feel, a bit of a difference taking them out of my diet. I felt like, there was some benefit in not eating grains, but then I also felt an even bigger benefit from not eating animal products. So there's actually a diet and lifestyle that promotes eating neither, and instead just eating raw, whole plant-based foods that are in their living form. And there's so much sense that goes into that. And it might sound quite drastic and extreme to the average person, but if you really think about it, humans are the only animals on this planet, the only living beings on this planet that cook their food and basically adulterate it before they consume it. And the more and more you learn about the human biology and physiology, you learn just how much of a perfect match anything that you can eat raw is for our human body and for our health. Anything that needs to be cooked is either a little less beneficial or super not beneficial. Like I definitely follow like a good, better, best kind of mindset. Like I don't think that anything that needs to be cooked is horrible for you. I think things like potatoes and squash and pumpkin, these high carbohydrate, high fiber, plant-based whole foods, like can still be very, very healthy. But I think there's different levels to the levels of health that you can experience. And I think because I've experienced, high raw, eating mostly raw and having some cooked things like potatoes. And then I've experienced, like I am now, being 100% raw. And like, yeah, I feel good when I'm eating mostly raw and some, healthy cooked things. But I feel like another level when I'm just full, all in, like fully raw. Like it's just another level of my body just existing. Just a whole nother frequency that I can exist in. And so, yeah, most of the time, that's how I want to feel. That's what I choose. And another aspect too that I want to touch on before I end this video is a huge reason why I follow a plant-based diet after discovering the health benefits and experiencing them for myself and feeling so good every day. Of course, because I call myself a vegan, I also learned about the ethical side too, which is so important. That's a huge part of my why and why I stick to it every day and why I'll never go back, is because once you realize, because we're all taught, we're all brainwashed, at least I was, like believing so deeply that I had no other choice but to eat meat dairy and eggs, like I thought I needed them to survive. Otherwise I would die or get sick or just be malnourished and depleted, which I clearly am not. Like I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm active, without all of those things, and much more so than I used to be. But once I realized I don't need to consume dead bodies, like that's actually kind of gross. Since I don't need it, it's not designed for my physiology, nowhere near anywhere close to being a carnivorous or omnivorous animal. If you look at carnivores like lions and tigers, these, feline creatures, and then you look at omnivores as well, which are like bears and dogs, which are animals that can eat meat and plants, we look nothing like them. We don't have like the biological design to kill with like big long teeth and big long claws. Like we actually have to use tools, and we also can't really eat meat raw, like we have to cook it. So I always wonder, well, if humans discovered fire at some point and discovered how to make tools at some point, what were we doing before that? Because we actually had to like learn these things. So biologically, we were doing what all the other primates in nature, because humans are primates, like that's the category that we are put in by our biological design. We were doing what all of those guys were doing, or what they are doing in nature these days, which is, living amongst the tropics, living amongst the trees, eating tropical fruits. Our biology is perfectly designed for that. That's why fruit tastes so good to us. It's so sweet, it smells nice, and we have the perfect biological design to consume it. We can climb trees really well when we practice enough. We have perfect, hands, opposable thumbs to grab on to trees, climb them, grab on, pick a piece of fruit, peel it, eat it, boom, done. Fruit is like the perfect fast food. It's amazing. But basically, it just blew my mind once I was like, oh my gosh, I've been eating dead bodies my whole life. Like all of these beautiful sentient beings are being murdered every single day just because humans are selfish and think that steak is so great and bacon is so great and omelets are delicious and all these things. It's like, actually, those things are only good because you added salt and garlic and herbs. Like try eating just a boiled bland piece of like chicken, no flavor, or just eat eggs cooked with, or even raw, with no salt, no garlic, nothing added, no pepper. It's not our biological design to consume those foods. We don't naturally like them. We have to manipulate them in some form for us to enjoy them. If we were a true carnivore or omnivore in nature, we would be able to just pounce on an animal, rip it apart, eat through the fur, through the skin. It wouldn't gross us out to see blood and guts. Like we would see roadkill on the side of the road and start salivating and get hungry. We wouldn't be able to have pets. If we got a little bit hungry, we would just pounce on them and tear them to shreds. Like it makes no sense that humans are eating animals. I understand that we had to during certain parts of our history to survive, and like I said, the human body, it's very intelligent, it can adapt to survive, but were the humans throughout history that were eating a lot of meat healthy? No. Like these diseases are getting worse and worse, yes, because of processed foods, but heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, all these things have been around for centuries since humans have been consuming meat. We've seen, viruses and things like the Black Plague. Like humans haven't always, just been healthy before processed foods. They were still sick and suffering, but nowhere near as bad as it is today. And that's because animal product consumption is going up. Processed foods are just destroying people's health as well. And we really, really, really are at a time in history where we need to just start evolving beyond where we are now. And sometimes that means coming back to our roots of, our biological design, how we started before we discovered fire, before we discovered how to use tools to kill, because we weren't doing these things at some point. At some point, we were eating raw amongst the trees, just like all the other animals in nature. We were climbing trees, picking fruit, and living more harmoniously. I think there was something that really shifted us that, made us a more violent species, made us a more conquering species that just wants to take over the world. And, as within, so without, like it's all a reflection. So when we see all these wars and humans killing other humans and just wanting to conquer land and being very selfish and violent, well, look at how we're eating. And we don't even realize it from childhood, what we're eating. We're so just turned off to reality, and the truth is hidden from us, like of where we're really getting our food from. And it's not food at all. It's when you really realize what's in front of you is a dead body, it's not food at all. And if I have the ability to see it that way, I know as humans, we're not meant to eat meat. We have compassion, we have empathy, and we love and care about animals. A lot of us will cry when we see an animal in pain. And if we were truly carnivorous or omnivorous animals, we wouldn't really have those emotions. We would see an animal in pain and we would think, oh, that's the weak one, time to go get my dinner. But yeah, it's really just common sense. I mean, I like this, I've heard this quote a lot, and it really gets people to think about, our natural instincts. If you place an apple and a bunny in front of a baby, will the baby play with the apple and eat the bunny? No. The baby would eat the apple and play with the bunny, right? So yeah, it's just, there's a lot to really think about and consider. But at the end of the day, I think it's really, really simple. The hard part is just shifting your mindset in the beginning and just relearning everything. Forgetting everything you've been told, relearning, and having a huge spiritual awakening. That's usually what's gonna happen. But it's beautiful, it's necessary, it needs to happen. And I think, yeah, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life, is choosing a plant-based diet, choosing compassion for not only just myself and wanting myself to be healthier, just really taking amazing care of my body, like just so much self-love, really seeing my body as a sacred temple. I don't want to put, things that harm my body into my body. I don't want to put dead bodies into my body. I want to fuel my body with, the correct food that it's designed to ingest, that it's designed to feel absolutely amazing. And yeah, I love how, once again, it's a reflection, so within, so without. When I honor myself in that way, then I also get to show up as a better member of society. I realize I don't have to harm animals. I can have more energy and love and compassion to do, better things in the world. Like, I shifted my career from being a chef to now, being here online, being a nutritionist, being a health coach, helping people heal and get healthy and transform their lives, being a spiritual mentor. So I really have found my calling in life by following my heart. And I also realized the spiritual evolution of this lifestyle, like the way when you cleanse your body, you also are cleansing your spiritual body too, your energetic body. Your chakras start to open, the energy in your body starts to flow more effortlessly. So you begin to just have more love and inspiration flowing into your life, more flow in general in your life. And it helps a lot of people like find their purpose and just start living in higher alignment in their lives. I've seen that with so many people that I know. You change your diet, your whole life changes. So yeah, these are the reasons why I stick to a plant-based lifestyle. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful to have all of you here. I really appreciate all of you who have subscribed. It means so much to me to just continue growing this little community. And yeah, I can't thank you all enough. You can also check me out on Instagram as well. I post, pretty often over there. Wishing you all a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye!